So first and foremost, I want to thank you all for watching the Everything Old Skool Podcast. I'm your host, Shanique Bird.
And I'm Marquise Marrow.
And we are here today with a living legend. We are here with DMC from Run DMC. How are you doing today, DMC?
What's happening? I'm doing really, really good because everything is old school.
You know that.
Now, do you prefer DMC or Darryl right now?
You could call me Darryl, you could call me D, you could call me Darryl Mack, or you could call me DMC. People always ask me, what does my name mean? D's for never dirty, MC for Mr. Clean. But sometimes I tell them when certain people ask that DMC means that Darryl makes cash. So most people call me D.
Okay. Now, when it comes to hip hop pioneers, Run DMC sits on the top of the list. Now,
only from I gotta correct everybody. I gotta correct everybody. Only from the period of recorded rap. Because in my opinion, the greatest hip hop group ever is the Cold Crush. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
That's what we got in common.
When I describe it to people, I go, the greatest hip hop group ever that a lot of your people don't know about is the Cold Crush. But people only judge, and it's a disservice to the culture and also to the business and to the foundation and to the universal eternal existence of hip hop. The world only judges hip hop from the recorded rap period. And that's totally wrong. You know, most people, 90% of people judge who's great in hip hop from the recorded rap period, which is totally wrong. Because when you start with hip hop, you got to start before Rapper's Delight was ever made. So everybody's always talking Eminem and Run DMC and Jay-Z and Lil Wayne, but you got to put Reggie Reg from the Crash Crew up in there. You know what I'm saying? You got to put the Fearless Four up in there. Go back and listen to their lyrics. Like those guys were better than, Jay-Z and Pun and all of those guys. D.O.B. from the Fearless Four. If you go listen to Fearless Four record, Problems of the World Today, and then say, who are these guys? You go back and listen to all of those tapes from like The Fever and Harlem where they're rhyming. So I just wanted to add that Run DMC's the pioneers of recorded music industry entertainment. Because the real pioneers is everybody before Rapper's Delight. So in Jay-Z and Run DMC and LL, we're not even in that discussion. The real pioneers is everybody before Rapper's Delight, before a rapper ever went and recorded in a studio, like a recording studio for the music business. Those are the real pioneers. So and now that I'm more mature and older, I got to correct people because everybody judges Run DMC's greatness. We were just the ones to put it on MTV, to get it on the radio, and to do the big tours. And it's funny, I gave away our secret on my Adidas. I said we took the beat from the street and put it on TV, but we didn't invent it. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to correct you. I want to correct the world so that when history starts talking about who's great in hip hop, we need to start talking about from the beginning when a person first got on the mic, because some of them dudes is way better than Eminem. Now,
when did Run DMC come out?
1983 with Sucker MCs and It's Like That was our debut.
Okay.
But Run, a lot of people don't know, Run was a solo artist. Run was a professional MC since he was like 15 years old. He was the son of Curtis Blow.
Okay.
Davey DMX, Davey D, remember that record, everybody out there from the old school? Davey D was Curtis Blow's DJ. Russell Simmons, Run's brother, was Kurt's manager, Davey D's manager, the Houdini's manager, and Jimmy Spice's man. But Run already was recording his debut records before he put me in the group.
Oh, okay.
So Russell Run, and you could, this is all factual. You could go back and on Instagram, it's the dude with the flyers. I forgot the guy's name, but you could go back and look at some of the early hip hop flyers. And Run is on the bill as DJ Run, the son of Curtis Blow. So he was actually going to do a solo record until he met me. So when he met me, he made Russell put me in the group because Russell was only concerned about his little brother Joey. But our debut was 1983. It's Like That and Sucker MCs.
Okay, so I was born in 1976. So for me, the first rap group or hip hop group was Run DMC.
Of course.
So you know what I'm saying? So the age is really like, I wasn't into that kind of rap. Right. When I heard Run DMC, it was like, wow, this is like this? Oh, right. What is this? So when you cross over, when you say that you were the first group for recorded rap or however you
success. Yeah. I mean, there was Rappers Delight, there was The Breaks, there was The Message, Planet Rock, which was phenomenal. But as a commercial music industry thing, that's what Run DMC represents.
Right. Because you all crossed it over. You all brought it to mainstream.
Yes.
And when you initially started with Run DMC, did you ever imagine that the group would grow to be so big?
No, not at all. Not at all. You know, the whole motivation was not because you got to remember, hip hop wasn't even on the radio 24 hours a day. It was just Friday, Saturday night. You might have had the Supreme Team, world famous Supreme Team on a Sunday or Friday or Wednesday. You had the Awesome 2, but you know, hip hop only had its one night. But the here in the tri-state area, the main nights was Friday and Saturday night. So it was either Red Alert or it was Mr. Magic or it was Chuck Chill Out. And like I said, you had the Awesome 2 and the Supreme Team. So the whole goal was just to get on one of those shows. You know what I'm saying? If the Supreme Team, the world famous Supreme Team show, if they played your records, you made it. And it wasn't a dream of, you know, because you got to understand our idols and icons were the Stevie Wonders and the Marvin Gayes and Parliament Funkadelic. So, you know, to just be known in your neighborhood, you know what I'm saying, for Cold Crush tapes and Zulu Nation tapes, shout out to the Zulu Nation tapes that flooded the streets of Queens, that was huge for them. But even when we started, you know, making these early records, you know, after Rappers Delight and all of that stuff, your goal was just to get your record played on Friday and Saturday night. I never thought that Run DMC would be as big as we came. But it's funny, Jam Master Jay, in all of our early interviews, I'm talking about this is like 83, 84, 85. Even if we was overseas in Germany somewhere, they would always ask the questions here in the States and over there. They would say that, did you ever think hip hop would be this big? And Jay was the only guy that said, yeah, I knew it was going to be big. And this hit me hard. He said, because it was so big to me when I first heard it. So like that feeling that you got when you first heard Run DMC, that's the same feeling I got when I first heard Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 or the Treacherous 3. And I know I sat there and said, wow. So what that meant was whatever this new feeling, this hip hop was given to us, it was going to become it was going to be more contagious than COVID is right now. So I understood what Jay meant by that, but I never thought that. I was just like, okay, you know, I was just happy to get in front of a mirror and pretend I was one of the guys on Super Rapping. Or to pretend I was Pow Wow from the Soul Sonic Force. So, you know, for most people in those early years, we just wanted to be Grandmaster Flash. We wanted to be Grand Wizard Theodore. But we didn't think we could be like them, you know, actually do what they're doing, you know?
Right. And become bigger than them.
Exactly. And one of the things too that also, the reason why Run DMC was so successful, we made it a priority to not let this entertainment music business that's full of BS pollute, dilute, and eradicate our culture. We Run DMC from day one to this day. I'm strictly turntables and microphones and vinyl. You know, I understand technology. I understand the difference between real hip hop culture and monetized, commercialized entertainment business, which is full of smoke and mirrors. So one of the reasons why Run DMC was so successful, we made sure we did what we did in the streets of New York and at those block parties and house parties. Like, we didn't change who our presentation to satisfy Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? We wore Adidas, we wore tracksuits, we didn't put on, you know, no funny outfits. We didn't do that. Now, that being said, everybody always say, you know, what was so special about Run DMC? The only difference between us and the real pioneers is the first pioneers are incredible. I'm talking about everybody but Grandmaster Flash, Treacher Street, Africa Bambaataa. When they got into show business, when Flash and Bam and all got to show business, they had a problem. They were the first to do it. So they had no DJs, MCs, they had no rappers to look up to because they were the first. But who were their idols? Parliament, Funkadelic, the Rolling Stones, Rick James, and all the punk rock groups. So that's why they dressed like that. Because, oh, we in showbiz now, you gotta have stage attire. So, you know, Mel and Mr. Ness, before he was Scorpio, if you look at Africa Bambaataa and the Zulu Nation, I'm not talking about from their street gang days when they wore denim suits and the jackets and they had Pumas, Adidas, and Pro-Keds and Mocknecks and Quarterfields and sheepskins. When you look at Africa Bambaataa now as a showbiz entity, they look exactly like Parliament Funkadelic. That's who Bam. That's who Bam's from a showbiz, from a music making. George Clinton, the funk, baby. So they was like, you know, they didn't know how to be rappers in because they were that. So when they got into show business, they put on what their idols did. When we got into showbiz, Zulu Nation, you know, my idol is Mo D when he wore British Walkers. So now that I'm famous, I'm with, and plus I got money to go buy British Walkers. Right. So I'm putting on British Walkers, I'm putting on a Kango hat and gazelles. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things that made Run DMC so successful is we didn't look like stars. We looked exactly like the guys from your hood.
Yes. Marquise, go ahead.
S. Bird, do you know what British Walkers are?
Yes. I went to Rice High School. Dude.
No, I know you know, but I'm asking my co-host.
Why are you asking me?
Oh, do you know what
Marquise, why are you putting me on the spot?
No, that's good.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't know.
You say no, that's good. Yeah, it was a particular shoe that we wore.
Okay.
It was a particular shoe that we wore. A lot of people don't know the hip hop culture, the original beginning culture hip. We were very, very stylish. Mm-hmm. And it was young people. We were very neat. We were very polite. We were very groomed. Like, we were no joke. We walked around like we was royalty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the British Walkers was the shoes. It was British Walkers and Playboys. And we wore coats like we wore pea coats, we wore sheepskins, we wore goose downs, we wore bombers, we wore leather jackets, leather blazers. So the early hip hop was very, 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 very stylish. So for me, Running Jay, when we got into show business, our stage attire was going to be what everybody in the Bronx, Harlem, and Manhattan was wearing, because you know we came from Queens. We was basically following the lead of the Bronx, Manhattan, and Harlem. You know, when it came to style,
right?
You know, we was too young to look like Superfly. You know, because by that time, you know, the whole blaxploitation era and stuff like that with the pimps and the Cadillacs. It was like these hip hop young folks created their own universe of style, presentation, and language. So for us, our stage attire was going to be what they was wearing in the Bronx and Manhattan.
Right.
And to put on, when it came time to go into battle, to go in and perform, you really couldn't jump around stage with your sheepskin on and your gabardines and your British Walkers. So we had to put on our athletic wear, which was the track suits that all the break dancers was wearing. Because now you can move, what I'm saying? So it was an inspiration thing for Run DMC to say, yo, since we're going to be in this position, we got to always make sure people know not only where it come from, but what it is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Fold your arms like the break dancers, and we, the old pictures and stuff like that. So there's a lot that hip hop still has to present in order for hip hop to get back its essence. It's stuff like British Walkers and mock necks and quarter fields and what outside of the hip hop that the boys and girls was doing, outside of the economic condition that existed in the Bronx and Harlem. Now, Harlem's beautiful now, but back in the day it was Harlem.
Right.
So once those stories get told, see, the young people are so far away from that. They just see the music business, which is a big problem. You know what I'm saying? But once those stories get told, the little boys and girls of this generation will be able to relate and see the passion and desire and the heart of the people that created this culture.
Right.
Now, I wanted to say something, D. First of all, I want to thank you for always keeping your word. I appreciate that, and I respect that, sir. And
thank you. Thank you for having me on this show. This is exciting.
No doubt. Now, I want to do a 360. Okay. You were talking we're discussing about the heyday of rap and everything. But if you don't mind, I want to get into your personal life outside the stage, behind the stage.
Okay.
Is that okay? Can you come strong? Because I know you got a book about it.
Keep it real. Keep it real.
Okay, and that's the name of the book too?
No, the name of the book is hard. The name of the book is 10 Ways Not to Commit Suicide. Okay,
and somebody's going to learn from that. So I wanted to ask you to begin with, man. Mm-hmm. When was the first time that you contemplated suicide?
Oh, the first
and why?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. It was when Down with the King came out. Now, in 1993.
Okay,
was the first time, because what had happened is, and Pete Rock hates when I say this, but it's the truth. In 1993, we did the album Down with the King, which was in 93. By 93, hip hop had went through its never change now. You know what I'm saying? So Run DMC, we were like the OGs.
Yeah.
People still love this. Yeah, exactly. As far as we wasn't on the radio no more, we wasn't touring no more, we wasn't on MTV no more, because it was Cypress Hill, Tupac, Biggie, everything was going on. Redman, EPMD, Eric B. and Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, Coogee Rap, like it was crazy. But people still loved Run DMC, but we wasn't participating. So Pete Rock produced the title track on the Down with the King album in 1993. That record did for historically, musically, business-wise, Pete Rock's Down with the King did for Run DMC what people say Run DMC's remake of Aerosmith's Walk This Way did for Aerosmith. It brought us back. So we do the video, we put the single out, we drop the album, and it's like, yes, Run DMC's back, and we back with a vengeance. We opening for Tribe Called Quest, we opening for Naughty by Nature, we opening for Marilyn Manson, we opening for ZZ Top, we opening for Limp Bizkit and Korn, all the big rock groups. So we opening for Tupac and Biggie, like we back. You know what I'm saying? And we coming with that Run DMC thing, and then the video drops. People can go see the video where everybody who could come, Eazy-E came, Redman came, everybody showed up to the Down with the King video to show us love. So the video drops, the single drops. right when that happened, the very next day, I wake up and I just want to kill myself. It was just something in me. And it was like, okay, what's going on here? You know, we came out in 1983. We put the first album out and went gold, put the second album out and went double platinum. Then we put Raising Hell out and went quadruple platinum. The Walk This Way video, My Adidas, everything that people say hip hop is from an entertainment business genre, they say it's because of me running J. But deep down inside of me, something was missing. Like I sat there and I
didn't mean to interrupt. So when you woke up that day, was that the first time you ever felt that way?
Yeah.
That you
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first time.
The first time that I noticed that I wanted to kill myself. And I couldn't put my finger on what this feeling was. So from 93, it was just 24 hours, 7 days a week of depression. And it's crazy. You got to understand, Down with the King was huge for my career. You know what I'm saying? I probably have one of the greatest rhymes in the history of hip hop on that record. You know what I'm saying? If the GODBME did a King I Be, the mic, like I ilt on Down with the King. You know, P-Rock was like, yo, I want that DMC shit. And I wasn't even in the church with Run. That rhyme just came out of me. You know what I'm saying? The GODBME did a King I Be, like what? I've taken the tours. Yo, I do this. You know, I was happy to be back. But when I looked in there, you know, I look back at my life, you know, like the rap I just said on here. Son of Byford, Byford's my father, Banner's my mother, Alfred's my brother, Run and J is my friends. I did all of this hip hop stuff. There's got to be more to life than this. Now, prior to this, I didn't know that I was exhibiting some not normal or healthy behaviors before this moment. Because prior to this moment, I was drinking, I would say from 88 to 90, I was drinking a case of Old English 40 dogs a day. You know how some people in your hood, yo, he could drink 2 40 ounces. You know, and it's crazy how we celebrate not healthy behavior. And I'm saying, oh, DMC, Darryl can drink 2 40 ounces. No, I was drinking a case.
Wow.
I didn't see anything wrong with that. And that's in addition, I'm drinking a case. That's during the daytime. A case all day. Then you go out, you go out at night to the clubs and it's Bacardi and Coke and rum and Coke and vodka. Like, you know, it was crazy for me. A lot of cocaine. Huh?
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were finished. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Yeah, let me finish real quick because it's a lot. So I was doing this behavior, but since it's celebrated and normalized in the community, I wasn't able to see that there was a deeper problem. So here's the crazy thing. That's from, I would say, 89 to 90. In 1991, I'm diagnosed with acute pancreatitis. I almost died from drinking a case of 40s and Bacardi and Coke and vodka a day. So now I end up in the hospital for a month and a half. And I couldn't take nothing orally. I had to get everything through the vein. So I'm in the hospital for a month and a half. And something should have told me something was going on. Because when I got admitted to the hospital, the doctor looked at me and said, son, how much do you drink? How many cans of beer do you drink a day? And I'm like, I don't drink cans of beer. I drink 40 ounces. Okay, how many 40s a week you drink? 2 or 3? I said, no, I drink a case a day. They was like, yo, admit this guy right here. Like, tape his mouth shut so he don't put nothing down. Like, it was bad. So long story short, I'm in the hospital for a month and a half. When I got released from the hospital in 91, the doctor said, son, you have 2 choices in life. You could drink and die. I'll never forget him say that. Or you cannot drink and live. So from 91 to 93, it was all good. It was smooth. But now this Down with the King record, now we're back at the Down with the King record comes out. So now everything I've been through since 1983 with Run DMC is about to happen again. Touring, money, peer pressure, you know, just the pitfalls of the music business. Subconsciously, I never really paid attention to all of that, my emotions and feelings, because I was too busy getting drunk and high, not to deal with those feelings. So I guess what had happened when this Down with the King record came about, all of these emotions started bubbling to the top. So I still didn't know what was going on. So from 93 to like 96, 93 to 96 comes. I'm not wanting to deal with this feeling anymore. I didn't know where, first of all, I didn't know where to go, what to do. I didn't know it was okay. I didn't know it was cool to ask for help. I didn't know there was places I could go to ask for help. You're busy thinking, I don't want nobody to know I'm going through anything because I'm so worried about how people are going to think about me when my health and my well-being is the most important thing ever. Now I know F everybody. But back then I had this guilt and shame with having these emotions and feelings and weaknesses. So I didn't know what to do. So the killer is, it was like 96 when I couldn't live with the feeling no more. Like you got to imagine from 93, 94, 95, now 4 years of no solution. So now, F it. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to jump. I'm going to go to the roof and jump. But this is funny. Before I was going to go do that, I said to myself, Darryl, if you die tomorrow, people going to know the Run DMC stuff because you're in all on the front page in magazines, you're in the history books, but nobody knows who Darryl is. They know what Run DMC did. They know what Run DMC and Jam Master Jay did, but they don't know about the little boy Darryl, the person Darryl who made all of this possible. So I said, just in case I do die tomorrow, before I go, I want to write a book. And this was the first book that I wrote. And just for that book, I wanted to go, yo, what's up, world? I'm DMC. You know me from the groundbreaking rap group Run DMC. First to go gold, first to go platinum, first on the cover of Rolling Stone, first with the sneaker deals, first with the big tours and all of that stuff. But then I was like, I'm really just Darryl McDaniels, no different from any other little boy or girl in the world. I was born May 31st, 1964. And when I got to that part about my identity, I was like, oh, I know my birthday, but I don't know no details about it. So here's the killer. I called my mother up. I didn't say, Mom, just in case I die tomorrow, I want to write this book, because she would have lost it. I said, Mom, I'm writing a book. And just to make it more interesting for the reader, I want to know 3 things about the day I was born. How much did I weigh? What time I was born? What hospital? So she tells me that. I love you, son. I love you too. I hang up the phone. An hour goes by. She calls back with my father. Hey, son. Hey, Dad, what's up? They go, we have something else to tell you. And I'm like, okay, what? Now, at that point, I'm suicidal. I'm emotional. I'm in the most vulnerable state ever. I don't care about anything except getting rid of this feeling in me. So I'm already in the worst place that a person could possibly be in. They hit me with this. Well, we have something else to tell you. So I'm thinking they're going to go, well, when you was born, there was a power outage in the hospital and we gave birth to you by candlelight or something like that. Or there was an earthquake when you was born. No, they hit me with this. You was a month old when we brought you home and you're adopted, but we love you. Bye. Click. So imagine that. Imagine I'm all. So right then and there, it was over. Now, my whole existence exploded. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know about therapy. I didn't know about getting help. I didn't know any phone. And I'm the mighty DMC, the king of rock. And I still was helpless. So the only thing that I knew after being not necessarily cold turkey from 90, I had acute pancreatitis. If I drank, I died. All of that went out the window. When I found out the revelation that I was adopted, I didn't know where to go, what to do. I said, I'm starting to drink it. Now, by me picking up another drink after having acute pancreatitis, the doctor said, if you drink, you die. I started to commit suicide in a way that subconsciously, I ain't got to pull a trigger. I ain't got to hang myself. Let me just go do the thing that I'm not supposed to be doing that's going to kill me, so I don't have to deal with these emotions. So it was 93. It was behavior and situations prior to that. It's me going cold turkey. And then the revelation of me finding out that I was adopted was the thing that is going to make me kill myself. Because now I'm nothing if I'm not Darryl from Hollis.
Now, tell me this. How old were you at that time?
I was 35 years old.
So you found out at the age of 35
that I was adopted, and it was a secret. And the funny thing is, all of my family, cousins knew, my whole neighborhood knew, the block knew, my teachers knew, and it was, keep it a secret. Now I understand why they did it, because they love me, but by treating me different to make me feel the same about something that's different to me that would make me feel normal, you're ruining everything. So now I got to deal with that. That all of y'all, like, imagine how hurt I was. I get this traumatic revelation. Now, it wasn't about my mother and father. They were great. I had a great life. Y'all know Christmas in Hollis. Christmas time. I had the best mother and father ever. It was just all of those issues that came to light were issues that were in me that I subconsciously never dealt with. So I was 35 years. Hold on. I like to say it like this. I was suicidal when I found out at 35 years old that I was adopted. So imagine all of that stuff. So the only thing that I knew, I didn't know about therapists and doctors and this number. I didn't know about that. The only people that I thought could help me was a guy named Jack Daniels and another guy named Jim Beam. And maybe his friend Johnny Walker could help me. So I went back to doing the very same thing that was killing me in the first place.
Now, I did read that you were on drugs at once upon a time.
No, I wasn't. Never. I was an alcoholic.
Okay, because
I sniffed a lot of cocaine. Like everybody in the 80s sniffed cocaine. Everybody did coke. That was about. I even stopped coke. I just got tired of it. But my thing was alcohol.
Okay.
I would say, all right, if I was drinking 40s all day, if I drinking a case of 40, I was drunk 24 hours a day. Then I had pancreatitis. I wasn't drunk no more. So then when I started drinking again, when I found out that I was adopted, I was drinking every second of the day.
Okay.
Just trying to get through with it. I never had a drug problem. I took a hit of crack one time and I couldn't understand. I guess because your mind is funny. I took the crack. I said, what's the big? I hated it. I hated the way it tastes. It didn't smell good. It didn't do nothing to me. My drug of choice is alcohol because it made me feel like the Hulk.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But actually, when I eventually went to rehab, I was using the alcohol to suppress my emotions. Okay. So I didn't have to deal with my true feelings.
Jam Master Jay, when he passed away, when you got that call, what was that like?
You got to imagine. Now, for me, you got to imagine. I was suicidal. I just found out that I was adopted. I was going to go to that. Now Jay gets killed.
That's why when you said that,
now I didn't get therapy for the first things. So it was one after the other for me. Bam, bam. Now Jay gets killed. That was the thing that said, fuck it. Excuse my language. Life is over. That's when it was, life is over. It was the worst call of my life. Now, and you got to understand, for me, I'm already dealing with the fact that I found out that I was adopted at 35. So I'm doing this now.
Right.
And then ring, ring, ring. Hello, Jay's dead.
Right.
That's all I can say. And I still didn't go get help. I'm still drinking, trying to numb all the emotions and feelings. That was the worst call of my life.
And I can only imagine.
Second worst call, because finding out that I was adopted was the first.
Right. To find out you were adopted, to find out about Jay.
Yeah, right back to back.
Now, Dave Chappelle did an interview and he was talking about Hollywood and he was saying how Hollywood destroys people.
Yeah.
And he was saying how is all of these, celebrities who are strong people end up going crazy, right, or that perceived crazy. He didn't want to use the word crazy, but do you think
Hollywood just magnifies it more?
Yes. Now, do you think fame plays a role in these thoughts that you have of being so big or having these ideas?
Well, it's I don't think it's fame necessarily. It's just magnified more when you're out in the public. But It's no different from a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher, or a soldier, or a little kid. Think about little kids killing themselves because of peer pressure and what they think about. So ours is just so upfront, but mine was never upfront. See, I didn't care nothing about Hollywood because Hollywood is nothing. Like, it's really nothing. So when I was functioning as Darryl, everything that all of my intentions were sincere and honest. So everything that I touched worked for me. What happened to me in the career is this. It probably was 1986 for Run DMC. Run DMC, when we did the Walk This Way song, when we did the Adidas deal, when we did the Raising Hell tour, now we're like, now I'm understanding what Michael Jackson is feeling like.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I'm saying? We are on that level. But it was easy to me. What happened to me, and I didn't know none of this till I went to therapy, was subconsciously I started playing into people's expectations, but not of myself. I don't have any expectations. When I make a song, it's just to get out what's in me. Run put me in a group and it happened to work. Oh, shoot. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So give us more. So, and I talk about this in my book, 10 Ways Not to Commit Suicide. What happened to me was this. If I put a song out, I get money, I get on the radio, I get on a chart. People looking outside of me, seeing the results, is going deep. They're telling me, you need to be on the radio. You need to be on a chart. You need to be on a tour. You need to make a lot of money. So I'm like, to please them, okay. So when you're doing stuff that is not of you, it becomes difficult to participate in the natural state. So, you get high, you start doing a lot of unnecessary behaviors. So for me, to get through a lot of the bullshit that's in the entertainment business, I would drink. Okay. Instead of cussing, I'm not a mean guy, but I didn't know this till therapy. Instead of cussing people out and punching a lot of people in the face, since I was 18, I don't want to hurt nobody. I don't want to be a troublemaker. I don't want to speak up and tell people how I really feel to disrupt anything. My therapist said, motherfucker, he used that word too. He said, motherfucker, you supposed to fucking speak and disrupt.
Right.
The more you hold in, the more you kill yourself.
Yes,
but
I agree.
It wasn't easy for me. It was easy for me to take the back seat route because I had the alcohol suppressing what I was supposed to say. The alcohol helped me not punch people in the face and not say no. So but what I wanted to say, the fame just amplifies it. But now I can relate what, Anthony Bourdain went through. I can relate to what Chris Cornell went through. I can relate to, Chester from Lincoln Park, dudes that actually committed suicide. I was there. Right. So it's not just the music business. It's just life in general. Mm-hmm. Relationships and feelings and emotions. I could relate to the little 8-year-old kid that hung himself. You know what I'm saying? And all these kids. So it was those situations that I had to go through. And fortunately, I was a survivor that I need to talk about first and foremost. I just know that if I could tell the world I'm DMC and the place to be, I go to St. John's University. It's Christmas time in Hollis, Queens. Ama Adidas, I'm the king of rock. People celebrated me when I talked about all the good that I was feeling. Now that I speak about what I've been through, because fortunately I survived, because when I found out that I was adopted, I met some other adoptees. And what's important about that is when I found out that I was adopted, I'm the only adopted person in my whole scene, from my family to my group or whatever. So nobody knows what I'm going through. So everybody automatically becomes the enemy because I feel alone. It wasn't until I met other adoptees place where I didn't feel alone again. I was like, you mean to tell me there's a trillion other people in the world like me?
Right.
And then it wasn't until I decided to go look for my birth mother that I said, okay, in order for me to handle all of these emotions and feelings and all of these situations in my life, I need a clear head. You know what I'm saying? I need to be clear. So when I went to rehab to stop drinking is where I discovered therapy.
Okay.
And it was in therapy where I learned that it's selfish, but it's not. I don't want to share my money and give you my food. Selfishness, the selfishness I learned in therapy means this. I'm first, but not to receive. My feelings, how I feel is first. Do I want to go to that party? Nope. So you ain't gotta go. Yo, D, they offer you $500,000 to go do this. Do I like those people? Do I like that company? Do I like what? Nope. But back in the day, I would just drink the 40 and go get the money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So now therapy is the most powerful thing for a person. So when you admit, I have a problem, I'm weak, I'm vulnerable, I'm confused, I'm scared, that's the most powerful thing you're doing, because now the solution that you've been looking for in the sex, the solution you've been looking for in the drugs, the solution that you've been looking for in the self-mutilation or the violence that you unleash on others will now be put right in front of your face. And you're the only person that can allow your truth to survive. So for me, it was therapy. My therapist said, D, 20, 30, I've been in the music business 30 years. At that time, it was like 25 years. 25 years ago, you should have stood up in the meeting and cussed everybody out and not worried about what happened. You would have felt so good. You would have never had to drink. You know what I'm saying? So I just had to learn that, you know, whether it's the entertainment business, whether it's sports, look at all the sports people with the mental health issues, or whether it's middle school, look at all of the mental health issues. Mental health issues is normal.
But you talk about your therapist.
Yes.
How did you find a therapist that fit you? We hear all these stories like Black people have trouble finding therapists that can really relate to their struggle. Is your therapist Black?
No, my therapist, well, the three therapists that I had were white people. The therapist that I had in rehab, I was 35. He was probably maybe like 46, but this is how he broke the ice. When he came in for my first therapy session, he said, Darryl, during your career with Run DMC, did anybody ever do anything to make you upset? Run, Jay, Russell, anybody at the record label? And I sat there. I thought I had it all together. I said, nah. And he looked at me. True story. 46-year-old white guy. He stood up. He put his little clipboard down. He took off his doctor glasses. And he had, the white doctor cloak on. He started unbuttoning it. And I'm sitting there looking at him like, yo, he's about to beat my ass or something. Like, what is he doing? But he takes off his white doctor cloak and he had an AC/DC shirt on. So I guess he did that to come down to my level, to let me know. So I saw the AC/DC shirt. I'm a big rock and roll dude. Like if people see me now, DMC's always in an AC/DC shirt or a Led Zeppelin shirt. So I see the AC/DC shirt and, something connects. Oh. But then he sits down and looks me in my eye and he says, you're a goddamn motherfucking liar. I never forget that day. He looks me in my eye and he says that. And as soon as he says that, yeah, man, in 1983, when Ron did this, in 83, Joe did it. I went through 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96. I went through all of these instances where I didn't speak up, say no, or I didn't put my opinion in, or I didn't get up and say, man, you're wrong. Like I should have told people, yo, you can take budgets, and lie and cheat and steal, and you can, get your $100,000 and the 50,000 you're supposed to get with this dude, you can keep that shit. But I should have said, yo, if you gonna do that shit, don't do that shit around me. You can't be around. You can't be in my session. You can't be on my tour bus. I don't want to meet with you. I don't want your words. Like, I should have did that. But when he said that, and then my other therapist was an older white lady who works with kids in the foster system.
Oh.
So I'm a grown man.
Right.
So I'm sitting in front of her, I'm forcing, I'm adopting, and I'm going through all of these emotions. And she done seen kids from 3 years old to fucking 30 years old go through all of this. So they would check me. And they would check me as a person. But it's important that you find people that you can relate to.
Right.
These two people, we just had something in common. Even though they wasn't black, he loved rock and roll. I love rock and roll. And this white lady, older white lady, spent the last 40 years saving the lives of my young brothers and sisters in the foster care system so that they all could turn out successful. So she knew everything that I knew, that I thought I knew and had an excuse for. She done heard that 50 times.
Okay, so, that's what I wanted to make clear.
Yeah.
Is that sometimes they say you have to relate, it has to be someone that's of your race.
Right, but that's a false statement too. Here's the truth about therapy. People look at me like I'm crazy. And I've been going to therapy since I went to rehab. The therapist doesn't help you. I say that to so young, old, white, black, boy. I was over in the UK doing a seminar. The therapist, then they look at me and say, why do you go? No, I want everybody to understand. Little kids, little black kids, girls who are going through stuff, men, doctors, lawyers, the UPS man, the chef, the cook, the other rappers, the rock and roll guy, the therapist is a decoy. So two things can happen so that you can do two things. You can say stuff to yourself that you felt but never said before. That's all the therapist does. The therapist is just you. The therapist is not there. The therapist can't help you. Only you can help you. But the therapist is a decoy. What you really think, you have to look at the therapist as you looking in the mirror at yourself, hearing yourself ask you these questions, and you got to give the honest answer. See, myself was always in front of me. So the therapist allows you to say stuff that you never said to yourself before, that you didn't think you were capable of. Or, here's the biggie, you repeat everything that you said to yourself, but you didn't listen. What I mean by, you ain't supposed to go rob that damn bank. And you said that, but you did it anyway because you thought about what you was going to get. So now you're in jail, whatever you shot, whatever's going for. The therapist is just you coming to confront you. The therapist does not help. Therapy helps you. But the therapist is just a decoy because you're too scared to look yourself in the face and say you're weak, you're confused, you're scared, you're lying, but that's okay. So you put on a front. Most of our black men, which is a big issue in our communities.
Right.
Most of these dudes ain't violent. Most of these dudes ain't super ignorant of what the drugs is doing. They have a deeper emotional or mental, spiritual issue that they're not dealing with. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go on. Finish that.
Yeah. I said, I went to therapy and discovered here, as I sit here with y'all today, I'm just an example to all of you. I talk to little kids. I talk to kindergarten kids, and we sit there and we just talk about our feelings. What DMC is, the reason why the universe or God, Buddha, or Yahweh didn't allow me to kill myself is because I thought the DMC thing was just to set me up as a rap legend. No, the King of Rock thing was just to set up for what I was really put here to do. All I'm Darryl McDaniels in my Adidas walking this way to let everybody know who's going through something. I'm living, breathing proof that you could beat and defeat whatever you're struggling with. Anorexia, mental health issues, alcoholism, kleptomaniac, insomnia. I'm living proof that
How about nymphomaniacs?
Nymphomaniacs, all of that. When I was in rehab, I was in there with gamblers, sex addicts, everything. And it was funny. When I got in and I said, it's okay to talk about how you feel. Other people who was in my facility would come to me at nighttime just to talk to me. But see, that was the key. They would talk and they would tell me their true feelings, the things they were scared to tell their husbands, the things that they were scared to tell their wives, the things that they were scared to tell their brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, and friends and spouses and boyfriends. And I would sit there and listen, and I would say this to them. You know what you got to do when you get out of here? What, DMC? The same way you told me, you got to go home and tell your mother that. Like, you got to go home and tell your mother how she makes you feel. Because if you don't, you will continue to grab the liquor and go smoke the meth. A lot of people that I was with was doing things because the one that they loved made them feel a certain way. And that's the scariest thing, to say, honey, I need to tell you, I totally do not like when you, or I totally do not like the way. But it's a two-way street. Once the person struggling with anything realize, okay, I got mine's out, what I like is I got to sit there and I got to listen to how the other person feels. Now we have cooperation. Run DMC worked when J was doing J, D was doing D, and Run was doing Run, and that's what we gave the world. Most of our struggles artistically came when we was all just doing what Jay wanted us to do. That's not going to work for Darryl. What's good for Jay isn't good for Darryl. But what's good for Jay, what's good for Run, and what's good for Darryl, if that's what's on the records, if that's what people are seeing and experiencing, then everything that we touch will turn to gold. So the therapy works. The therapist doesn't save you. You do. The person in the mirror has, and we're crying out to ourselves, D, stop drinking the 40s. I can save you. But I didn't want to listen. It wasn't until I went to therapy, because there's nothing else for you to do. There's nothing else for a person to do but sit there and honor their weakness. There's nothing else for us to do but sit there and honor their pain. And since I'm the greatest rapper ever, or one of the greatest rappers ever, when I went through my therapy, I discovered something. If you remove guilt and shame, this rhymes. If you remove guilt and shame, you remove the pain. So I'm not guilty about being an alcoholic. I'm not guilty about, I don't feel guilty about, or shame. I don't feel guilty or shameful about being an alcoholic, a foster kid, or adopted. I don't feel guilty or shameful about having a mental health problem. Because what I'm trying to say is this: remove guilt and shame, you remove the pain. I don't look at anybody crazy when they say, I'm hungry. If somebody says I'm hungry, you give them something to eat. If somebody says I'm cold, you can't, if you're cold right now, if you're hot, I can't say don't be hot and it's really hot outside. I'll say, here, cool drink, turn the air conditioner on. But when a person says I'm depressed, the so-called normal world who isn't normal, like you're not normal if you don't have something going on with you.
Right.
So when I say I'm depressed, you know what Run and everybody was telling me? Because I'm DMC with fortune and fame and money, don't be depressed. How can I not? That's how you feel. And before I let you do your question, there's nothing wrong with a person saying they feel like committing suicide. What's been wrong with this universe since it's been in existence is how the so-called normal people react to that. I feel like killing myself. That's how I feel. So if a person says that to you, we're supposed to go, oh, come talk to me. Why do you feel like that? There's a who, there's a what, there's a something or situation making that person feel that way. So I want people to be honest. I'm depressed. I'm unhappy. I'm weak. I'm confused. That's beautiful, because the world celebrates individuals that do this. I feel like I could take on the world today. Oh, I love you. I feel like I could stop an army. Oh, I love you. I feel like $1 million. But the minute I go, I feel like shit. Oh, get away from me, weirdo. Get away from me, psycho. Something wrong with them. No, ain't something wrong with me. I feel like killing myself. But if people would be more in tune to saying, why do you feel hungry? Because I ain't eaten in 3 days. Okay, let's go solve that problem. When you get a toothache, where do you go?
The dentist.
To the dentist.
Right.
If you get a backache, where do you go? To the doctor.
Okay.
You hurt your knee, you go to the knee. Look, I got contacts in. I still wear glasses. I still got my glasses. When my eyesight in 2nd grade started messing up, where did my mother take me? To the eye doctor. As I got older, I knew I needed a stronger prescription for my glasses. Where did I go? To the eye doctor. When your mind starts bugging out, what do? Go to therapy. Go to somebody that can help, because therapy will allow you to help yourself. Don't go to therapy thinking, they're going to give you a magic pill, because that's the problem with most of our young people. They're over medicating these young boys and girls instead of dealing with the core issue. This young boy or girl feels emotionally drained because they're in the foster care system. You know what I'm saying?
Now, my question to you is, who was the first person you were able to stand up to after therapy that normally you probably wouldn't? So what was the first time?
My manager, Run, and everybody.
Tell me the first time you stood up for yourself when normally you would have just stayed quiet. Do you remember like the first time when you were just like relieved that you spoke up after therapy?
Yeah. When I got out of therapy, Jay had passed away. They came at me and said, the people are offering y'all some good money to go do these shows. And I was like, nope, I don't want to do no shows right now. So they hit you, that's wrong. The money, this and that, let's go. Nope, I don't care. And it got to the point where I don't have to, I'm going home to read. D, what are you going to do, man? There's 200 grand on the table for us right there. I don't care, but I'm going home to read my comic books. You know how good I felt? Sitting there reading my comic book instead of being up on stage, jumping around for 200 grand, feeling like shit.
Right.
So now I do what I feel good about doing.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I got a question for you. We're gonna get to your comic books real quick though, but I got a question for you. And a statement. Well, I guess it's obvious that money ain't everything, as people would think, because you got all the money in the world, but you're still going through these things. So what I wanted to know, does the helper still need help? Is it still a struggle for you day by day?
No, it's not. That's a great question. Marquise, that's a beautiful question. Now, what I definitely want to say is everybody's different. There's a lot of foster kids. There's a lot of adopted people. There's a lot of people with mental health issues. What works for me might not necessarily work for someone else or everybody else. And that's the problem with the mental health. The stigmas around mental health is sometimes you got to take the psychology books. These doctors and physicians and therapists, they go to school and they study and they get these PhDs and degrees. Sometimes that shit don't work. You got to push the Sigmund Freud book to the side, and you got to take the Bible. I mean, I love the Bible and all of that stuff, but the prayers ain't going to work neither. You got to push that to the side. I had to discover what it was. What was the thing that really made me so successful in this music business? I just want to finger paint and I use this analogy. I want to finger paint and put it on a refrigerator so my mother and father could see it and love me. It's not the actual painting. It's that feeling that I got when I wrote a rhyme. I was just happy to say I'm DMC in a place. D, who are you? I'm DMC in a place to be. I go to St. John's University. That's what I really was doing. But I put it to the beat. So what I want to say is this. Therapy has to be catered, utilized to deal with the individual on their particular level. What makes it easy for me, Brother Marquise, is this. I discovered this. The same energy and desire that I want to take the drink, it's the same energy I use not to touch it. So it cancels it out. It's all the same desires in there. I like drink. I don't like weed. I can say now I don't want weed. I can say now I don't want to smoke crack. I can say now I don't want to take ecstasy. And if I took all of those, I don't like that. There's something about alcohol I like. You know, and even though I can't do it, I think Martin Lawrence said what got him through his mental health issue. Remember when he went out in this suit?
Yes.
And he said, and he went to therapy for that and rehab. He said one of the powerful things that helped him get through was he had to admit to himself that he loved smoking weed. Oh. And it that gave him his power. And I didn't know what he was saying when he said that because I wasn't addressing my issue. So, Brother Marquise, what I'm trying to say is this. I discovered the same energy that I want to take the drink is what I use not to touch it. And I don't.
Like anti-venom. That makes sense.
Yes, it's the same. But see, that's how I utilize my higher power. Because when I was in rehab with a lot of alcoholics. And like I said, sex addicts. And we would have, the alcoholics had their sessions, the anorexics had their sessions, the gamblers had those. But then we had the community hour where all of us, because we all just going through problems, it's the same thing, but different manifestations of it. So then we would have the group thing. And the alcoholics would recite the 12-step things. And they gave me one too, right? But I found more power in not reading the book. I found more power of listening to all the stories from everybody to see what was similar to me. Like when I first went into rehab, they put the 10 characteristics of an addictive personality on a blackboard. And I sat there and I was like, I'm all of them. But I had to admit that. But they was reciting the 12-step power. They was reciting the excerpt from the 12 steps about I depend on my higher power. In my moment of need, I call upon my higher power, my higher power, my higher power. So since I'm there, you know me, Brother Marquise, I'm from the comic book world. I'm like, okay, they keep saying my higher power. And then I realized something. My higher power is not up here. I said, if I keep saying something's mine, that means I got it. If it's my higher power, it's not a power that's here that I call upon. I realize my higher power. Oh, shoot, Brother Marquise. I'm the higher power. So once I said, I'm the higher power, I'm looking for a power outside of me to help me get through the next session with running J of doing records I didn't want. So I thought the alcohol, I thought I needed to utilize things outside of me to help me be successful. No, I don't need to smoke anything. I don't need to drink anything to be creative. I don't need to alter this state I am to be the most powerful entity in the hip hop world. So what makes it easy for me, Brother Marquise, is, and it was a big test for me because now they're not as dominant. When you check in hotels now, a lot of chains don't have the mini bars anymore. If you want to drink, right. You order to, right? That used to be, they don't have those. But from like it was about, I would say 2000, I seen the mini bars leave, like, and I can say this, the 2000s, it was like 2012 when I see the mini bars not being in hotel rooms anymore. But the reason why I know that is because when I first got out of rehab, the mini bar was always there. And, you know, my manager, Eric, would always come and ask you, how'd you do? You okay in there, D? And you know what I would do? I would check into my room and they would say, do you want a mini bar key? And instead of saying no, I would say, yeah. And my manager and everybody would look at me like, yo, D, you ain't supposed to do. I said, I know. I would check in my room. And when I got to that urge of feel like I would sneak the drink, the old alcoholic D, I would open the mini bar and I would sit there and I would look at the liquor like this. And I would say, oh, wow. Yeah, it's fighting yourself. Yeah, I sit there and I said, no, I ain't going to drink you. And the only thing that I wanted to, you know how bad I wanted, right now I want to drink so much because I love what it does to me. But see this, I want that drink. I want that drink to not take that drink. And it's over for me. And if people could realize, yes, now don't get me wrong, there's chemical and physical things that'll make you act the way that you act. I'm not saying that don't exist, but I discovered how to use that energy. You know how they say that it's the same energy. The same energy you can sit there and be mad at somebody. It's the same energy that you could use that to apologize and work it out. So that's how I utilize my energy instead of falling into taking the drink that I know is going to make me feel good, but when it wear down, I'm going to feel as bad as I was before it. I'd rather just stay in the state that I don't need to take the drink to upset that in the first place. So that's what I discovered. Use the same energy that you could use to rob the bank and end up in jail saying, damn, why I do it? It's the same energy. You can say, you know what? I'm not going to rob the bank. I'm going to work my ass off for the next 4 years to fucking get the chain.
Right. You guys always represent Adidas. You have a song about Adidas. Now, did you guys ever have any type of contractual agreement with Adidas before you made the song, after you made the song?
No, we didn't. Right. I tell kids when I speak at high schools and middle schools, I said, I'm not thirsty. Don't get it twisted, y'all. I didn't call Adidas. Adidas called me. Look, we just made at that time we was rhyming about everything. And hip hop was just, people do it now. We did the Adidas record and they heard about this thing called hip hop. They heard about this group Run DMC, and then they came and they gave us an endorsement deal. They gave us $1 million and they took care of all of the expenses for our tour. And back then that was huge.
Right.
But no, it was no discussion. It was no negotiations. We would have just made that record and never had a relationship with them. But the reason why we was able to get a relationship with them is because what we had, what we represented was good. Right. We was street, we was hood, but we took that same negative, stereotypical perception of young Black and Latino youth from the streets of New York City and showed that we could be honest and trustworthy and dependable, and we could be positive. You know what I'm saying? So Adidas saw the good that was in us.
Okay. Marquise?
And real quick, just a few more minutes, D. Yeah. I know you like rock and roll. You got to be up on Babe Ruth and Keep Your Distance.
Yes, Keep Your Distance. Okay. All of those were rock songs.
What about Lack of Afros?
No, what's that?
Oh, When We Get Off. I don't know if you would consider it rock. I don't even know what you consider it. But when
Send me the music.
Oh, all right.
I'll play it. Do you have it now?
Well, I will have to do that on the phone. I don't want to lose us because
All right. Don't worry about it. You can send it to me. But it's funny that you said that. Here's our secret to our success. Run DMC, we didn't invent the essence of rock and roll before rap records was ever made. If I would have went to go see Africa Bambaataa in the Jazzy 5 and Soul Sonic at Soundview Projects in the Block Party, Bam and Red Alert and DJ Jazzy J, they had rock breakbeats. Rock was always the pioneering DJs from Charlie Chase to Theodore to Jazzy J and Red Alert, who played my Rice High School prom.
Hip hop comes from everything.
Yeah, hip hop. There was Aerosmith. I didn't know Aerosmith was Walk This Way. I heard Aerosmith for years. I heard Melly Mel rhyming over Aerosmith. I heard my man Sundance, who rest in peace, Sundance, who I went to Rice High School with. DJ Superman, Africa Islam. There were so many rock jams embedded in hip hop outside of the use of James Brown and George Clinton funk records and jazz records, such as Bob James' Take Me to the Mardi Gras. What I did when I got into hip hop to be different, I was like, wow, nobody made a rap rock song. When I used to hear
Crash Crew did first, but it never came out.
Wow, see?
A lot of people didn't know that.
See, I didn't know that. See, that's legendary. So for me, I came along and said, when we made Rock Box, we was just trying to make Billy Squire's Big Beat. Boom, bend, boom, boom, bend, boom, boom, bend, boom. And Larry Smith, he put the bass line on it. Do, 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 do. But when we made Rockbox, we was trying to do Billy Squire's Big Beat. Queen was Rush. Tom Sawyer. People, Run DMC, like I said, we didn't invent it. We just did it when we was allowed to make records. We did what we would do at the block party on our records. Most of our records are so-called routines. You know what I'm saying? Jazzy 5 had some of the best routines. So Sonic Force had some of the best routines. Cold Crush is legendary for the routines. Treacherous Street had crazy routines. I know my history. Let's not forget Crash Crew routine. Everybody was making routines. So when I got into business and stuff like that, I would say, I'm not trying to do no disco, old man, hip hop and rapping. I said, I want the Zulu Nation to say, yo, I like that Kid D from Queens. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to make beat jams and be like the B-boys. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't trying to make disco hibbity hobbity records. I wanted to be yes, yes, y'all, but to the beat, y'all, you don't stop, keep on. Cut the record. So that was the whole motivation. So when I came in, I told Jay always knew I was a fan of the rock songs. Because growing up, everybody was listening to soul music, everybody was listening to funk and stuff like that. But rock always had loud guitars and drums. So rock music to me was like the Hulk. It was like superheroes. You know what I'm saying? When you think of Iron Man, when you think of Thor, superheroes are loud and powerful. Disco was cool, but I'd rather rap over Billy Squire's Big Beat than rap over Good Times. I always like loud drums. Bassline records are dope too. Don't get me wrong. 7 minutes of funk, don't. I'll get busy to that. But it was just something about the sound and presence of rock songs that resonated with Darryl McDaniels because I wanted to be a superhero on the microphone.
Dig it. Now I got something real. The last thing, it's called 10 questions in 20 seconds.
Uh-oh. Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
Oh, old school music or old school movies?
Old school music.
Old school hip hop or old school R&B?
Old school hip hop.
Rapping or writing books?
Rapping.
Ali or Tyson?
Ali.
Would you rather be respected or loved?
Oh, wow. Respected.
Okay, would you rather drive or have a driver?
Drive. I hate drivers. I don't even let bellmen carry my bags, but I still give them a tip.
I could dig it. I said, what do you like better, performing live or hearing yourself on the radio?
Performing live is the best thing ever. I don't care about being on the radio.
How about you got a jump shot or a handle? If
neither.
Either one.
Neither.
Okay.
But definitely ain't got handle. I might get the ball in the basket though.
All right. Summer or winter?
Winter.
Winter. Now, if there's one thing you want to do that you haven't yet before you die, what is it?
Oh, wow. The one thing that I haven't done.
Oh, you don't know yet. I mean,
right.
You could answer.
I don't know yet.
All right, that's cool. Now, do you want to say anything about your comic books before we be out?
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, I grew up reading a lot of comic books, but a lot of people in hip hop can relate to that. Comic books, Bruce Lee movies, monster movies, Bugs Bunny, the Brady Bunch after school, the old school when we came home, what was on the TV. I know everybody can relate to eating the cereal with the cereal and milk, or if you ain't have milk, you had the cereal and water, but you would read the box, the cereal box 100 million times. So that's who I am.
The cereal box.
Yeah,
remember, they don't even do that no more.
Right. So I come from that. So being a kid that was always in comic books, about 4 years ago, my man Riggs Morales, shout out to Riggs Morales, shout out to Shady Records. Riggs convinced me. He said, D, you should do a comic book because before hip hop and before rock and roll, before music, my whole existence was comic books, Godzilla, the black and white Godzilla flicks from when we was a kid,
Indeed.
and Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes and Woody Woodpecker. So he said you should do a comic book, and I said no, I don't want to do a comic book. And then he said, why not, D? And he hit me with this, Brother Marquise. He said, you can do the same thing that you've done with your music all these years. And I said, what? Inspire, motivate, educate, and entertain. So 4 years ago, I started a comic book company, self-published. It's a lot of money. That's why I'm broke right now, but I love it. And he asked me, he said, D, if you was to name your comic book company, what would you call it? You can't use Marvel. You can't use DC. You can't use Image. You can't use Valiant. You can't use Dark Horse, all of this. And I was like, wow, I got a problem. But then it came to me. DMC, the initial of my name, could stand for anything that's powerful, positive, and productive. And I was like, you know what? If I was to make my comic book company, I'm going to call it DMC. Darryl Makes Comics, because that's what I'm going to be doing. So 4 years ago, we got 3 issues out now. 3.5 will be out by October, and I will be at the New York City Comic Con coming up in October. So if you got an album you want me to sign, if you got some Adidas you want me to sign, come by my booth at Comic Con. And while you're there, you don't have to, but if you think it's cool enough for you, you can pick up the next issue of my comic book.
Where will Comic Con be for the people who don't know?
Comic Con is at the Jacob Javits this year, October 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th at the Jacob Javits. And it's from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday it ends at 6 p.m. So I will be there. Come by, say hi, and keep it hip hop. And remember, old school is not a time period. I always got to educate people this. Old school is the consciousness. Old school is the way we present ourselves, the way we show who we are. And it could be through a rhyme. It could be through a song. It could be through a dance. It could be through your style or your fashion. It could be through what you write. It could be through what you sculpt. It could be through a singing song, a rapping song. It could be through your spoken word of your poetry. It could be through the food that you cook. Old school is the design and style of the way you became a chef. And we're so powerful, us brothers and sisters who are not in, but who are the hip hop culture. We're so powerful that we could just walk in a room, not say one word, fold our arms like this, and people will understand what old school is.
That's for sure.
Now, we do want to thank you again for joining us. Now, how do we stay updated? Are you on social media? What platforms are you on?
Okay, let me get this right. My son helps me out a lot. I'm out it's funny. I'm so old school. My manager and my publicist hates it, but they see the results. I'm like, I don't want to be busy posting myself and showing people every minute of everything that I'm doing. If I make a new song, I'll tell you, okay, I got a new song, but I ain't going to throw it down your throat. Maybe it'll be in a week. Maybe it'll be next year. Maybe it'll be 5 years from now. I want you to, when you see me do that song live, like Brother Marquise just asked me, what's better, radio or video? No, doing it live. You know what I'm saying? My thing is show up and give the people a moment to cherish. You know what I'm saying? But on my Twitter is The King DMC. That's my Twitter. And my Instagram is King DMC.
Okay.
So thank y'all for having me. This was so cool.
And thank you for opening up and being honest and talking about Darryl McDaniels. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm down with the Zulu Nation.
I know.
Zulu.
I know. You still got that shirt I gave you?
Yes, I do. It's in here. So I think my son stole it from me.
That's all right.
He be trying to act like he's in this little baby Lil Wayne era and stuff like that, but he be sneaking out the old school style because it represents something. People see those, when they hear those songs and they see that style and they see those shirts, they go, whoa. That's I think he knows it.
Yeah, well, next time I see you, I got some.
So we gotta come back on the show, because before you go, let me just let you know the new music coming, and we'll talk about this, because then we could get more into the music too next time. I got a song coming out produced by Bumpy Knuckles, People know Freddie Fox is one of the greatest lyricists in the game. He's a great producer. Bumpy Knuckles, check this out, y'all. He produced DMC, Chuck D from Public Enemy, and Ice-T, and DJ Jazzy Jeff from the Fresh Prince, all on a record together.
Oh, wow.
And it's the coolest title ever. It's called Me and My Microphone.
Okay.
So it fits right into what you're doing. You don't get no old schooler than that. You got conscious rap, Chuck D. You got the king of rock rap, DMC, and you got gangster rap, Ice-T, with one of the greatest DJs in the world. You know, DJ Jazzy Jeff from the Fresh Prince, all together, produced by the underground god Bumpy Knuckles.
Wow, that's dope.
So we're dropping that in front. Marquise, I'll let you know when it drops and we'll come on and y'all gonna want to talk about it.
Yes, definitely.
It's dope. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. And one more thing too. Everybody that's going to see this, you can go to iTunes. It's on Spotify. I just dropped a solo single. It's called America. But don't get it twisted. Don't get scared. It's stars and stripes, the red, white, and blue, but it's about the America that we here, our people, our culture, envision the way America should be. Arts, because the arts rule where politics and religion fails. And I want everybody to know that this hip hop thing ain't just about rappers and DJs and producers. It's about what y'all doing right now, journalism, and representing, having dialogue and talking about it. It's about the sound man and the cameraman and everybody that makes this whole culture possible to be seen and heard. Because I'm not without y'all.
Right.
A record is one thing, but I'm nothing unless we have dialogue. And dialogue is the key for our success. I'm talking, especially for the young ones.
Yes. Thank you so much.
So I'll see y'all next time. Sir.
Yes. Thank you again.
Thank you. Y'all have a great weekend, and I'll see y'all, I guess, in a couple of weeks. When the record drops, you're going to want to talk about it.
We'll be ready.